Hi everyone, I'm Wardee with Traditional Cooking School, and I'm back again with my friend Megan. Hi Megan.
Hi.
We are talking about Megan's brand new cookbook. It's grain-free, sugar-free, and loving it. And today is all about the food. In our last video, we talked about Megan's health story, so you want to be sure and watch that. I'll have a link for you below this video, or you can click right on this video to go right to it. But right now we're going to talk all about the food. And so we have this wonderful grain-free, sugar-free lunch to sample, and we're going to show you it. So before we dive into this feast, I want to tell you about Megan's going to tell you about her favorite word. It's called alternatives. It's a very important word in Megan's family and with their gut healing diet that they thrive on and that they love. So her book is aptly titled, it ends with loving it, and they do love it. And alternatives is a key part of that. So tell us about alternatives.
Sure. So I think when you start any healing diet, you're going to feel deprivation, whether it's your body actually coming off of a sugar addiction or just missing your old favorites. And so alternatives come into play immediately because you need them. You need treats. You can't simply go into a state of deprivation and expect yourself to flourish. Most of us can't take time off work or from the important things that need to be done to just lay in bed all day and languish. So we need alternatives so we can stay happy, so that we can enjoy our diet and hopefully be on it for years if necessary. And I know that sounds, difficult. Many people do not want to be on a healing diet for years, but the reason we've succeeded is because of these alternatives. So what that means is if you used to love a cinnamon roll at your favorite bakery, that you create a cinnamon roll or find one that you love that is not, just a grain-free substitute, but that's genuinely easy to digest so that when you eat it, you're eating it without guilt. So for us in our family, that started with the easiest recipes like pancakes and muffins. And when we'd be eating a bowl of gut healing soup, we would have to the side of it a scone or a muffin, or at breakfast time with our bone broth soup we'd have pancakes. And you can imagine for kids that is a deal maker. That's what made the GAPS diet successful for our family. But even grown-ups, we've had addictions longer than the kids. So we really need those treats. So alternatives, they provide a healthy way of succeeding on a diet by still allowing yourself to have treats, foods that taste literally scrumptious when you eat them, instead of just being a stand-in and you can't wait or you wish you could get back to what you used to love.
Which is so important, and I think you said it already. There's this feeling when you go on a restricted diet that you're being deprived of things that you love. And so if you can pursue these alternatives and come up with delicious, tasty, but healthy, those comfort foods, the ones that it's not just eating it, but it's the emotion rush and the memories it brings back, and the feelings of being in that favorite cafe or remembering when you were 10 years old and your grandma bringing you the plate of cookies or whatever.
Yes.
That it's that whole eating experience, and that's why alternatives is so important to our healing.
Yes. And I would just add to that there were many weekends where I would go with my family to a bakery and we'd get a cup of coffee and whatever baked good we really enjoyed. But I will say that probably none of those experiences ever satisfied me. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to have more room in my belly, or for the cinnamon roll to be bigger, or I was waiting for when I could have chocolate again. And I think that's what makes the alternatives additionally superior, is that when you eat them, you actually feel satiated. And so they make you feel happy in every way, instead of it being like an addiction that you have to return to.
Great point. So it's time to dive in. So Megan, show us what you brought.
All right. So these are basically like panini sandwiches.
Ooh, I love panini sandwiches.
So these are made on sprouted sunflower seed panini bread. And there are 3 different kinds. This is one of my favorites. We call it the muffaletta. It has Applegate Farm salami, homemade olive tapenade, and roasted peppers.
And these are sandwiches that you sell in your cafe, right?
We do, yeah. And this bread is so popular. We've had a ton of customer requests for the recipe. So I keep saying the cookbook is almost out and then you get to have the recipe. This particular variety of the panini is made with kale. And it also...
And the panini you mean is the bread?
The bread, exactly, yeah. So we have 2 varieties of this, or versions of this recipe. One is a traditional blonde looking bread. It's, pale in color. And then there's this recipe that has the kale, which is why the bread is green. So, so yeah, we have the muffaletta, then we have one with prosciutto, brie, and arugula, which is my favorite right now. The muffaletta used to be my favorite, and then of course I ate 100 of them, and now the prosciutto is my new favorite. Prosciutto is nice because it's just Italian pork and salt, so it's safe for most healing diets. And then this one is smoked salmon with cultured cream cheese, capers, thinly sliced cucumber, and lettuce.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love you to talk a little bit about the bread.
Sure.
I mean, you mentioned it, it's very popular with your customers, people are
Yes.
wanting the recipe.
Sure.
But it's really special because you use a really special technique. So
Yes.
tell us about that.
Sure. So the baking technique originally came from Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride in her cookbook. She had one recipe that was really, in my mind and in my daughter's mind, kind of set apart for texture. We were playing a lot with almond flour and almond meal and coconut flour, like most people who go on grain-free diets, and we were only moderately happy with those textures. And what she did is she took a soaked nut, and instead of dehydrating it, she used it while it was still wet,
Okay.
and pureed it into a batter. And so you have something there right off the bat that's going to be moister than a nut that's dehydrated. And then I spent the last 3 years developing that concept into scones and all kinds of different recipes, because basically with this kind of a recipe, you're able to emulate the yeast texture. It's very similar to a yeast bread. However, it's a batter bread. So, and that's all due to the technique that she introduced to me and that I've really enjoyed developing. So people eat these at the cafe and they're like, how did you make this bread? And that's it. It's using,
Wonderful.
yeah, and the nut is still sprouted, so.
And so the results are better because your bread is more moist.
Yes.
It's also better for you,
Digestion,
right?
yes.
Better for digestion because of the soaking.
Yes, and I would say the third benefit is it's very easy. That's one of the reasons people love coconut flour and almond butter or almond meals. You can just buy them and use them. But this method, you simply soak them overnight, rinse them off, and in the morning they're ready.
Yeah.
You throw everything in the blender and puree it. So it's really fast, low maintenance, and way more digestible than, store-bought almond flour, for instance. So I'm a big fan for multiple reasons.
Okay, I'm going to taste.
Great.
Which one should I try?
I think
one for
do
me.
the muffaletta.
Okay. I have enjoyed Megan's cooking many times. It's always wonderful. So this is the one with Applegate.
Yes. And these sandwiches are the bread is very versatile. We do roasted chicken on them. We do lamb with Israeli feta and tzatziki sauce. So they're extremely flexible for whatever you love in a sandwich.
This is fabulous.
Thank you. Good.
Oh, okay, I'm going to take another bite, and then we're going to go to the treats. This is a treat, though.
Yeah, it's fun to put really rich fillings inside, high flavor, high fat, and then, sometimes some greens, but there's lots of good marinated flavors going on.
Thank you.
My
This is
pleasure.
amazing.
Good, so
Okay,
glad.
I'll save the rest for lunch.
Nice.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what else do you
Okay,
have?
so I brought some brownies. One of the things about a brownie is it really requires a lot of sugar. That's what makes a good brownie. If you look at just, traditional food, not traditional as in Weston A. Price, but standard American diet.
Oh, yeah,
brownies.
brownies are very sweet.
Yeah,
really sweet.
Exactly, and they rely on a high amount of sugar to get their texture. So 1.5 cups or 2 cups of sugar. So one thing we've done with these, or I've done with this recipe, is I use 3 kinds of sweetener. I love honey, but it has a really strong flavor, and you really, with a brownie, you don't really want that to overwhelm the cocoa flavor or the gooiness of what you want the brownie to be.
You want that just a neutral sweet.
Exactly. And I love maple syrup, but again, it's got its own distinct flavor. So with this brownie, I actually use 3 sweeteners. I use local raw honey, pure maple syrup, and coconut sugar. And the coconut sugar, really having that granulated sugar is important. It offers its own unique quality. So this is a nice brownie. It's a little bit gooey, a little bit cakey, a little bit dense and fudgy. So I tried to capture all those things that texturally that all of us want in a brownie. It's not as gooey as falling through your fingers, but it's really a nice texture because of those 3 sweeteners. It is nut-free, so yeah.
Well, these look wonderful, so I don't want to wait even another second.
Great.
They look like they have a great brownie texture, moist and dense.
Yes, nice.
Mm. Wow.
Great.
You've done it. This
Great.
will satisfy
Nice.
the biggest sweet tooth, which my addiction is cured also, but I
Right.
still love
Let's
sweets.
face it, we love sweets. Exactly. That's how I feel about chocolate too. There's nothing like it.
It's great to get to the point where you're not craving sweets.
Yes.
Like you cannot, like the afternoon crash, and you cannot go another minute without having something sweet. So to get over that is amazing.
Yes.
Still to be able to heal your gut and enjoy nourishing food and have the sweet for the enjoyment, not the craving.
Exactly.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, that is so well put. And I would also say, because I've been in the process for so long, and I meet with people and try to help counsel them for healing, that the transition period is very important. Like we were talking about alternatives earlier. In the beginning, when there's still that process of getting to have no strong addiction anymore, having a bite or a brownie like that makes the process easier. So.
Right, because going to a gut healing diet can be restricting, and that can take a mental toll, an emotional toll.
Yes.
So to not feel deprived during that crucial time of having some small victories and still enjoying the path
Yes.
is so important.
Yes, and I would say one more thing about the brownie recipe, for instance, but any of the recipes in the cookbook, and that is that my hope was that even a gourmet cook could use this book who was not on a healing diet, who simply wanted a maple syrup sweetened brownie. Because online there's just a lot of recipes with sugar, and I wanted to provide a cookbook with healthier alternatives for anybody and everybody. So I'm hoping these recipes also meet that need.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Yeah.
So for more recipes like this, these are a hit in Megan's cafe in Eugene, Oregon, but you can have them at home also because she's put her year's worth of developing them into her new cookbook, Eat Beautiful, Grain-Free, Sugar-Free, and Loving It. You can check it out at traditionalcookingschool.com/Megan. And Megan's put together a package including 5 videos, and one of those videos explains this grain-free baking technique that makes this wonderful bread. So it's a huge asset to that collection, to her ebook package. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, Wardee.